My son has hemochromatosis. What does this mean for him? And, what kind of symptoms will he have?
Well, your son will develop symptoms such as abdominal pain, arthritis, and chronic fatigue, and this is just in the early stage of the disease. And in the later stages of the disease, he'll develop diabetes, liver disease, and organ damage.
How will these symptoms affect his quality of life as he gets older?
Well, his quality of life will definitely decrease. And these symptoms will occur around the ages of 40 and 60, and then the later symptoms will occur after that. So his quality of life will be average up until the age of 40, and then his life will just start to decrease.
Which chromosome pair is hemochromatosis related to?
Hemochromatosis is in chromosome pair 6.
Right. So how is it mutated? How is the DNA different than a normal child?
Well, the DNA is actually a autosomal recessive inherited allele, so it's hereditary and it comes from the parents.
How does that gene relate to the construction of proteins in your child?
Well, there's a protein called HFE, and when a child has hemochromatosis, there is a defect in HFE which causes HFE to have a failure to regulate the intake of iron.
Right. What specific proteins is my child producing, not producing, or not producing enough of?
Your son has the protein HFE, which regulates the intake of iron by slowing down the absorption. But when a defect occurs because of hemochromatosis, the iron is absorbed constantly, causing an excess in iron.
Is this affecting all of my child's cells? And if so, why or why not?
No, this is affecting all of your child's cells. Because of cell differentiation, the protein HFE was created in all of cells, and the defect occurs in every cell because this is from both.
How does this protein relate to the symptoms that hemochromatosis is causing?
Well, most organs in the body contain iron. Majorly in hemochromatosis, the liver is affected because the liver is where iron is stored, and with the excess amount of iron, the liver contains too much iron, so the liver begins to fail. And then when other organs begin having the excess amount of iron, they also begin to sustain damage. So the organs in your son's body will begin to fail because of excess amounts of iron caused by the defect in HF.
So how did my son inherit hemochromatosis?
The disease is either caused by a mutation of C282Y and H63D, or if both parents already have the mutation or are a carrier of the allele, they could give the offspring an allele from each parent, and the offspring could become homozygous recessive.
Right, so how could my daughter have it if none of my other kids and me and my wife don't have it?
Well, you see, if both you and your wife are heterozygous, then you are a carrier of the disease, but since it's not homozygous, you don't actually have the disease. And you can give your kids, one of your offspring could have homozygous dominant, so they are not even a carrier, or your kids could be just carriers of the disease, but it is only a small chance that your kid will get the disease.
So if I were to have another child, what are the odds that they would get hemochromatosis as well?
It'd be 25% if you and your wife are carriers of the disease.
How can we treat the symptoms of my son's hemochromatosis?
Well, there are two ways to treat the disease. You can either use technologies like CRISPR-Cas9, since we know where the mutation is in the genome, or you can remove blood from the bloodstream to reduce iron levels.
And then what can I do to make sure that my next child doesn't get hemochromatosis?
Well, you can use CRISPR-Cas9 technologies to remove the mutated gene from your body so you're not a carrier. And then when you're homozygous dominant, you have no way of giving the disease to your offspring.